Obviously, we've been quite busy, and I wanted to give the audience here, give you guys an update on what we've been up to, and kind of some of the follow-up from the last meeting, and some of the things we're trying to do to address some of the concerns in the community. So the first thing, and hopefully everybody has a copy of this, we've heard a lot of questions. We've met with a lot of folks one-on-one and try to address people's individual questions directly. But there's a lot of questions that have been posed out there, and since the last meeting, we've put together a very comprehensive document, which really should cover most of the questions that we've heard and discussed before. But clearly we wanted to get this in the hands of everybody so that we would have full disclosure, and hopefully, if there's questions in here that you still want answered, we're happy to talk and answer those questions. But you should find a lot of the questions that you have, that you want answered. You should find them in here. So that's one of the key things we've been working on. It is available on our website, so if you don't have a hard copy, so feel free to go on our website and download it. I think the other thing since we last met was we've really revamped our hotline. We heard some feedback about, certainly early on our hotline wasn't optimal. We've really kind of re-looked at that and reconfigured it. And frankly, myself and the leadership team have been the ones that have taken all the calls that we've had since the last town hall, and we're the ones that have been picking up the phone and calling people back, and generally either having a conversation over the phone or having a conversation and then actually having a follow-up visit. So just for some statistics, since the last town hall, we've actually had 37 calls to the hotline. We've actually been out and visited most of those people. Anybody who wanted a visit, we've actually been out to visit with them. We've actually been out to visit some folks who didn't want to, or who didn't ask for a visit. We've actually tried to be very proactive and get out and actually meet with these folks. So we've done that in person so that we understand what the concerns are in the community, and hopefully we're addressing those. As you can see from the slide behind me, the next topic on my list there in terms of progress is the Apollo warehouse. There was a lot of questions about Apollo warehouse at last town hall. We had a lot of discussion with folks in person, and we have retired the Apollo warehouse. Okay, you guys have all seen that in the press. We retired that, and the reality is we're no longer using that warehouse, and we have no intentions to use that warehouse in the future. That's why we've called it retired. It is not going to be used again, okay? It's completely empty. We've had a number of folks actually tour. They take pictures, take video, and we're out of there 100%.
Knock it down.
One of the other things we heard from the community was the whole topic of air quality. People concerned about what are we breathing? There's a chemical plant in our backyards. Are you guys emitting things that we're breathing? So a lot of air quality questions and concerns. We've talked to a lot of folks about that. One of the things that we heard from many folks was, why can't we install another air monitor? There's one at the library, but the feeling was that was too far away from our plant. So we made a donation yesterday to the city council of an air monitor. Again, that was in the press today. That was something we donated as a company, but the city is going to install that. Joe Jepson is working on a plan for where. There's a couple of pieces of the monitor that still have to arrive. We expect those to come in on Thursday. That's so that we can actually, or so that whoever's managing the air monitor can actually wirelessly transmit the data. So all that, we should have everything equipment-wise here in town by the end of the week. the city is working on a plan to actually install and mount that air monitor. I did also want to mention that it's very key. We heard from folks, well, if Carus installs an air monitor, you guys are going to be in charge of it, and there were concerns about that, right? Data integrity. We have no plans, no intention of having anything to do with the air monitor other than it's a donation. The city is going to install it, and the city is looking for the third party to actually manage and monitor that information, okay? So it will be entirely objective data. So we hope that will go a long ways to addressing some of the questions and concerns we heard. I think, really the last major topic is, again, as we're out talking to folks, and we heard it at the town hall as well, there was concern that, things could have gone better in terms of when we had the fire, people wanted more information, quicker, faster. There was feelings that the system in place was not optimal, and therefore, this whole idea of revamping a community emergency response plan was developed. So the details of that plan are TBD. I would expect, there'll be more to come on that in the next couple of weeks, but the idea is that will be a cross-functional group of community, basically folks like yourselves. Jordan Crane from the city is going to participate on that team, and 2 Carus team members who are experts in health and safety will participate in that team as well. And the idea there is to really come together as a community and develop a plan which the community can own, that is not just for fire, it's not for Carus, it's for the community in the event of any kind of emergency, okay? Regardless of form or function. So that's it. There is a bullet point on insurance that's just for me to remind myself to hand the mic to Chris. We've had a lot of questions, obviously, about insurance. I do think we've made a lot of good progress. We've still got work to do. We acknowledge that. We're working hard on that. But Chris is going to give you an update. Our commitment on insurance is to be very transparent with the data and share how we're progressing. So with that, I'll hand it to Chris.
Half of my pie chart disappeared. Not sure how that happened. So hello everybody. For those of you that weren't here at the last town hall, again, I'm Chris Crockett. I'm the Chief Financial Officer at Carus, and the commercial insurance claims, along with the other insurance lines, fall under my responsibility. This update is through last Friday. This is what we received from our Davies Group administrators. For those of you that aren't familiar, Davies Group was hired jointly by our 2 insurance carriers, AIG and Allied World, to handle all of the administration of the claims. So they're responsible for taking the claim input information, assigning an adjuster, working with the individual claimants. I'm sure many of the people here, if you had a claim through Davies, you're probably quite aware, talking to them, having adjusters come out, working through the details of each of the claims. So as of last Friday, we have 123 outstanding claims, if you will. We've got 58% of them currently settled and or paid. There's a handful of claims that are settled, but we don't have the releases back yet, so we call them settled but not paid. So that's about 71 of them. We've got another 15 out with offers extended, various details. If I look through the report, offers extended, it can be still hey, are you going to cover this? I'm still waiting to see how that pans out, that kind of thing. So there, we have an offer, but I would call those kind of actively being negotiated. We've had 11 offers rejected by the insurance carriers for a variety of reasons. Some of the claimants have gone to their own personal carriers. Some of them have come back and said, okay, let's revisit this. But for the most part, we would call those rejected initially. We've got 21 current claims that are actively being pursued in that category. We've got 9 large claims, Just a reminder, any claim that hits the $20,000 mark becomes a large claim, and it requires a completely different approval process. It has to go through legal on both the AIG and the LA World carriers. So it's a much longer process when the claims get to be larger dollars. And then we had 5 claims that were denied out right after they investigated and didn't see the support to support the claim. So at the moment, we are making progress. I think these numbers were kind of in the low 30s last time I was here with you, so we're moving them forward. Obviously, the goal is to get everybody paid as quickly as possible. Probably the other current announcement with the insurance since the last town hall, it's on the FAQ and the website, is the homeowner's deductible. For those of you that got your claims paid through your personal carriers and subrogated them to Carus, you were, I would say, dinked, by your homeowner's deductible. So we have instructions on the website of how to get that reimbursed through Carus. So if there's any questions you guys want at the end, just let me know. If you guys are still having issues, please call the hotline. We take a look at it, like Andy said, every day. If there's anything specific to the insurance topic, I make sure that we respond to it as quickly as possible, whether it's calling Davies or reaching out to you personally. Thank you. Now I'm going to hand it over to Rich.
All right, so everyone wants to know what went on during the fire. What went on during the fire, what was the aftermath, what the air quality was, what we're emitting. Those are all great questions and good points. So in the fire, permanganate decomposes at temperatures that are normally found in a fire. That is a thermal decomposition and causes the permanganate molecules to break down. They break down into smaller pieces. The smaller pieces are potassium manganate, which is green, and many of you saw that on your lawns. Manganese dioxide, which is a black-brown, which is, you saw it on your lawn and maybe on your decks or on your roofs. And oxygen. The oxygen fed the fire. That's why the fire spread so quickly and burned very, very high. In that burning and that heat of burning, all the packaging material was consumed and destroyed. Potassium manganate is also a very unstable compound. It quickly breaks down in the atmosphere, on your lawn, on your pool cover. If it's dissolved into water, it breaks down really quickly into manganese dioxide and again oxygen, which is released into the atmosphere. The manganese dioxide is again a black or a brown solid and would probably be the spotting that you saw. And finally, manganese dioxide is common in the soil here. Your soil is made up of different metal oxides, different metal sulfides, some carbonates if there's a lot of limestone around. So it is a common component of soil in the area. So from an air monitoring standpoint, so how did we get the data? What data did we use? We downloaded the data from the library. We downloaded the particulate PM 2.5, the particulate matter that is 2.5 microns or less. We use that data because that's the particle size that is capable of being respirated deeply into your lungs, and that would have the most effect if you breathe that in. So again, it was downloaded from the library. The data range is from May 2022 all the way up to July, so last week. And I put down the categories from the EPA. They specify anything less than 12 nanograms per cubic meter is really good air quality. Between 12 and 35 is a moderate air quality. Basically, anything over 35 becomes unhealthy for sensitive groups, those that have asthma, COPD, heart conditions. And then, I guess it was 2 weeks ago now when the wildfire smoke was in the area, we got to the very unhealthy or dangerously unhealthy zones in the area. It's important to point out that in 2020, the average air quality for particulate matter in Illinois was 19.9 micrograms per cubic meter, which would be in the moderate range. And over the span of 2022 to 2023 that we looked at, the average was 8.7 micrograms per cubic meter. So the air quality in the area is much, much better than the average of the state.
Wow. Where are you getting that info?
So here's the graph. I mean, the graph is pretty self-explanatory. We had the warehouse fire on 1/11. We started up our drying systems on 2/7. We started up Carolite manufacturing, that's our catalyst material, on 2/14. And we started up the permanganates progressively. On sodium permanganate was on 5/1, and our potassium permanganate was on 6/19. So as you can see, the air quality is no different today than it was a year ago when we were in full operation. So, the takeaways, what you should take comfort in, or what you should remember is, most of the potassium permanganate, yes, there was potassium permanganate that went up in the atmosphere. It was raised up on the updrafts of the fire since it was so hot. But a vast majority of that permanganate decomposed. And when it decomposed to the potassium manganate, manganese dioxide, and oxygen, the oxygen fed the fire. The permanganate or potassium manganate ended up falling in the neighborhood along with a little bit of permanganate, and then those were decomposed on the ground. I mean, you do not have permanganate in your yard today. You don't have manganate in your yard today. They were quickly decomposed over a period of hours or minutes. And then the library data shows that there isn't any difference in the pre-fire or post-fire and plant restart in the air quality in the neighborhood or in the area.
Okay, guys, so really, those were kind of the key feedback we wanted to give to you guys tonight. What I would say is we're committed to supporting the community. We're committed to making progress here. I would encourage each and every one of you to, obviously feel free to ask questions once we're done here. We'll do our best to answer them. But I would also encourage you, once this meeting's over tonight, if you still have concerns, questions, we are available. Call the hotline, and we will get back to you. We're happy to have you come to the office and meet. We're happy to come to your house and meet with you. So we really want to address your concerns, and we're here to do our best. So with that, I'm going to hand it back to Lindsay. We're going to take Q&A.
Thank you, Andy. So just a reminder, we do have the 2 microphones up front. We would ask you, if you have a question, you can come up front, keep your statement to 1 or 2, so that we have time to talk to everybody tonight.
Hello again. Hello, we're the noisemakers, as you know, as you call us anyway.
Toot toot!
We're back again. Nice little stunt you guys did out there with the police, wanting to take my phone. Trying to throw me off my game, but you're not going to do it. And you all know what I'm talking about. And I'll be more than happy to talk to Fox News about some good things too.
We actually have no idea what you're talking about.
Whatever. It's got to do with the Apollo, you know, that empty building that had nothing in it, machine parts, and
Jamie, we're happy to have that conversation. We really have no idea what you're talking about.
I'll talk to Fox News about it. That's fine. Apollo, I appreciate y'all shutting it down. You're about 22 years late, in my opinion. You failed us in many ways in that. You snuck that building behind our home and put them chemicals in there without us knowing it. So what you did was the right thing to do. You're not really doing anything that you should not have done. The building is deteriorated. I have the reports. You would not have put armed guards in there if there was nothing in that building. Point me. Armed guards you put in there. After a fire alarm went off and went to your control panel. Interesting. Questions about the insurance. Your number keeps changing on the amount of how many people that had claims. I know for a fact that more people are signing up and you're getting more claims coming in, but you're not saying anything about that. You also, the insurance isn't paying for our decks that stuff ate up. It's an oxidizer. It got into our air conditioners. My air conditioners broke. Insurance is only covering what Carus Chemical tells them they're going to cover, and that's Davies Group or our personal State Farm insurance. My siding got washed. I have white melted marks on my siding. They're telling me because it's not brown, it's not from the fire. Well, when my house came and got cleaned, everything sat in them seams. My house is not the only one with melted spots at the seams. That's where the product lay. I watched the product eat my porch. Numerous videos, numerous days, weeks on end, and it changed by however the temperature or the humidity was, because it reacts to moisture. You know that. Your air violations. You can show that graph up there all you want, but you're not spanning that graph out. I've already put this on my YouTube page at Jamie Hicks Show, and you can watch me rebut that. Denise from the Sierra Club already came up and read that chart, and that's the only reason why you're bringing that up in this meeting. That's been proven. Also, you have violations. I know how to use the US EPA website. I know how to look up ECHO. I know how to find your violations. And I can damn near tell you every one by one. So you can sit up here and say how your air was so good to us. We're pretty much your guinea pig. And that's sad. Who's testing the air at the plant while you're testing all your new equipment? No, I got one more thing.
I understand, but I think it would be valuable to give our team a chance to respond to some of those.
I got one more thing for the gentleman on the end. That manganese that you dumped on us is made by chemicals. That's not a natural occurring thing. And our yards that were cleaned up are 3/4 of the way. You already know this information. You guys don't care because you got the EPA and everybody covering up for you. Because there was a lot of people that failed us. COVID laxed everybody. I'm sorry. I know that you don't have your emergency plans in for your plant with the local EMA, Fred Moore. I have the FOIA that says it. They have nothing on this. On you. I can't get it from the EPA. And you're telling me there's a committee. I'm sorry, but you can talk about a committee being made, but when the man who's supposed to be in a committee ain't been talked to about the committee, how the hell are you making a committee? I'd like some answers now. Thank you.
That was a lot of questions.
We can start with the insurance since
That's
we're on the noise maker, you know.
I'd be happy to talk to the insurance. So first and foremost, the number changes weekly because the claim count changes as people submit claims. So
Your total number of people who submitted claims, your number changes.
it changes every week, Mr. Hicks, as people make more claims. The numbers go up.
Your number's not going up. We were at 130 back when you were washing cars.
That's because there were 14 claims that were duplicated because they were filed under Davies and under subrogated. Please let me finish. I was quiet and let you speak. Now let me speak.
That's fine, but you've got an attitude, and I already know how you feel about me, so,
Well,
you
that's
know,
okay.
whatever.
I'm not on your Christmas list, I
Yeah.
understand.
That's fine.
So the claim count changes. There were 14 claims that were duplicated because they were filed under both categories, and we consolidated them. So the numbers in the beginning were bigger than they are now. But they change every week as people file claims.
They were duplicated because in the beginning we were told to file between our insurance and your insurance, and you guys would figure it out in the end.
Well, I'm not sure I
Now
understand
we're
who
here.
told you that. And again,
I can pull all that information up. It'll be on my YouTube channel.
that's
All right.
fine. I'm not
Tomorrow.
here to challenge you. I'm trying to answer your questions. As for the payments under the insurance, and I said this was the last town hall, and I'll say it again, we do not direct the insurance process. We do not direct the payments. We are not in control of the timing of the checks or even the amounts the adjusters agree on with the claimants. We are made
understand.
aware of what they are on a weekly basis. So if the insurance companies, whether it be State Farm or Farmers or whatever the personal
The
carriers
thing
are,
is, I don't mean to cut you off. The thing is most of us are State Farm carriers are up there that live in that neighborhood. If you're not a State Farm carrier, you're getting your roof covered. So I'm kind of confused at what's going on.
you're getting a, I'm sorry, I didn't.
They're getting their roofs covered, and we're not, because they're telling us that you guys said you're not covering roofs, and that's in the newspaper somewhere.
We're not directing any information to any of the outside carriers. State Farm, Farmers, Rockford, we don't even communicate with those insurance companies. We get basically a detailed subrogated claim from them, which goes from State Farm to our insurance carriers. We're not part of that process, Mr. Hicks.
It's awfully funny. I got an email with you chatting with them, and you're telling me you're not
I
part of the
chat.
process.
I
But you're
chat.
sitting there telling them that you got the family of the noisemakers.
Yes.
Because my dog, yes.
You mean, if you're talking about the email to Davies, I chat with Daisies
Yeah.
all the time. They update me every week on the claim
Yes,
process.
so you talk about the
No, what I
clients.
said was I do not direct the insurance carriers. Please do not take the words out of my mouth. I'm very familiar with the process.
I read it how it is.
I'm very familiar with the process. Would you like us to go into your response to that noisemaker comment? Would you like the audience to understand what you did after that comment?
Why don't you? Because I put it all on Facebook anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
I apologized immediately. I made the comment that there was a group of people who were noisemakers, and I immediately extended an apology. I was frustrated.
Yeah, it's your true feelings. And you said it was because the homeowners had you so stressed out with all of our complaints. That was in your apology.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm human.
You think
I'm
we're
human and I'm
stressed
stressed out. I apologized.
out? Do you think we're stressed out?
And I asked them to buy me out, and they told me, hell no, we ain't buying you out. Keep posting your videos and keep putting your stuff online. We don't care. Go through the insurance.
We never
That's what you
said we
told me.
don't care. We never ever said.
Your
we don't
attitude
care.
shows me how you feel right now, so it's
Mr.
proof
Hicks,
on
I
video.
spend a lot of my time trying to make sure that
I
everybody.
spend a lot
in
of
this
my
room-
time too trying to figure out these little loopholes we gotta jump to get you guys to do something. Because you ain't done nothing until I started pushing,
I would
and
just,
that's a fact. Without me pushing, this shit would not be getting done. I hate to say it, but it's the truth.
so can I answer any more of your questions?
No, I'm done with you. I'd like to move on to the air monitor
Okay.
readings or anything else you want to talk about. The Apollo. Let's bring up the Apollo and the armed guards and the reason why the police were out here wanting to take my phone and dump my information out of it. All my information. All my emails, my Facebook, everything. It's right here in the warrant. For a building that's got what in it? There's something in that foyer you guys don't want me to have, ain't there? I bet you there's some damn pictures. Fire alarm people going off in a building for hours. They don't talk to not one person in the neighborhood about if they've seen anything going on in the neighborhood. But now all of a sudden they want to take my phone. Funny. You're not throwing me off, sir.
So Jamie, I mean, honestly, we have no idea what you're talking about on the phone topic. We get nothing to do with the police.
It's funny that I was at a city meeting. This warrant was rolled out 2 days ago at 1 o'clock. I was at a city meeting Monday night. Police in the building. Nobody said a word. They waited till now. Because you think I'm going to get excited and act foolish. No. I'm going to talk to Fox News when I'm done. And I'm going to give them the lowdown on all your bullshit. Thank you.
Good evening. I have one question, and it's an easy one. About the insurance to be reimbursed for deductibles, is that for automobile also?
Yeah, I think the FAQ probably speaks to the homeowner's deductible in that print, but yes, if you got a deductible, yeah, because we've had several people who had a deductible. And I don't mean to be elusive. The property coverage on vehicles is different by carrier. I've seen some people not get dinged, and I've seen some people get dinged. So just send it with the same information, and we'll take care of it.
Okay. I have a lot of things I want to say, but legally I'm advised not to. But I do want to bring up on page 7 about the truckloads of material. I'm not a rocket scientist, nor any of us are, but again, we talk about the 6 truckloads. There was at least 14. We live in the neighborhood. I mean, people stretch the truth and things, but why do it about something so simple? That just makes you guys look bad if you can't even be straight up about that. It's done, it's out of there, that's great. And one thing I also want to say, on February 15th, 2023, the city of LaSalle then asked Carus to remove all the remaining chemicals. I beg to differ. I believe that was Mr. Hicks doing most of those right there. Giving the credit for our whole community that he deserves. Because like he said, if it wasn't for him, none of us would probably be sitting there, which would be much better for you guys. But the rest of us would probably be sitting looking at our stained up shit and not knowing what to do. I guarantee we were. It's the push from Jamie and Marty and his brother Mark that are getting us here to help us. And one other thing, this nothing bad, but you talk about your claims. There's so many people I talk to in my neighborhood who are elderly. People do not do social media. Our newspapers and our radio stations have been kind of one-sided, not about everything, but these people are not getting information about like meetings like this. If you guys really cared, I would love to see you send out letters and invite these people to have people come if they think they have damage and what to look for, whether it be gutters, because that's something that easily can be spotted. I have a neighbor guy with a walker. He don't know what the heck's going on. He don't know what to do, where to turn. I'm trying to guide him. I'm lost myself. Another lady who lives on the other side of me, she doesn't know what to do. They don't do Facebook. There needs to be another way to get these people help. I mean, poor Jamie, all he's doing, he's even offered to go talk to these people. He shouldn't have to. I would like to see a hand reached out to help these people, whether it be via mail or whatever. If you have issues, this is what you need to look for. Send them a picture. That's what you guys pay insurance for too.
Yeah, Lisa, thank you for sharing that. We will definitely reach out. So if you guys have any other ideas,
I might come up with something.
You've got a number. You've got a number. You know where to call. But seriously, we are happy to go out and canvass the neighborhood, talk to some of those neighbors who have not called.
Right.
Very happy to do that.
It's amazing the people that do not do social media still.
Yes. I try not to do it myself.
I would like to see that. That would make me
Yep, thank you for the feedback. And
Lisa, I wanted to talk a little bit about Apollo, because your numbers are right. Maybe it's the way it's phrased in the FAQ. Maybe I need to update it. But we had something like about, I think, 13 or 14 trucks that went out during the year from January. So if you're counting trucks, the number that we put in there with the 6 was after the February 15th number, that date. That's all we were doing. So it depends on when you start the count.
14.
So 14.
Video of it.
Yeah, so I'm not.
The day you said you were going to empty the building, not the day. I'm not counting the last loads.
Yeah, sure.
I'm counting the loads when you said, and I got the dates down to.
Yeah. Well, the idea is, March 3rd, all the chemicals are out of there, and Apollo shut down. That's the main thing.
But it's the lies. It's deception. It's the way you word things. I don't mean to cut you off, but it is. That's
Credibility, yeah.
just own it, man. Own it.
Hi, I'm Greg Stein from Oldsby. I came to your first one a couple of months ago. Your graph with your air monitoring spikes, are used back up to production at what level, producing the potassium permanganate? And you can't have all that building structure built already. I haven't been over there, but so are you immediately shipping it to the place in Ottawa? Or can you answer that? And then my second question is, was there video surveillance of the factory, the warehouse floor, up to the moment that the cameras were exploded when the fire grew to the point that it blew?
So yes, there is. That video is out on the web. The fire marshal, the state fire marshal, has looked at it and found that it was a tragic accident, if you will. So that video is definitely out there for the public to see. It's a matter of public record after the fire marshal published their report, and their report is a matter of public record too. So as far as when we were up in production, I'll let Alan handle that one.
So I think if you look at the graph, it kind of lists all the dates when the plants came up. The last one that was impacted by the fire was 6/19. We're probably running a little bit less than half rates on that facility, and we're storing it. We're really not storing hardly any product at the facility. We've got some we store over in Ottawa and then a couple other locations. So.
Could I just ask how much is being stored in Ottawa?
Yeah, a couple 100,000 pounds.
What percentage of previous capacity are we looking at now, supplying the United States and the world?
Yeah, we're a little less than 50%.
How many pallets would those pallets?
That's just permanganate. That's just potassium permanganate.
So you do make more than one product in that building, in that factory?
Yeah, the facility at our LaSalle facility makes what we call phosphates. We also make catalyst. We also make sodium permanganate, and those were generally unaffected by the fire and are running pretty normal, at normal rates. And then our potassium permanganate was more affected by the fire.
So the warehouse was only the potassium permanganate warehouse, and all the other chemicals go from other locations?
Correct. Yeah, the potassium permanganate is the warehouse that was affected by the fire, not the other products of the facility.
I'd just like to remind, if you have questions, please come to the microphones to ask them.
Hi, Dawn Hicks. I was here at the last meeting. I've spoken to a few of you outside of here as well. A couple of things I wanted to address. One was saying that the potassium permanganate at the last meeting only basically ate aluminum. And then Lisa Dias showed you a very large picture of her plastic lawn chair that had clearly had chemical deterioration. And you guys said that you were surprised by that and you would have to look into it. Did you find out anything else about those chemicals and what they actually eat through instead of just aluminum.
I mean, potassium permanganate doesn't affect thermoplastic resins. So the chairs are made from thermoplastic resins. It doesn't. We ship millions and millions of pounds in the same thermoplastic resin.
But there were other chemicals that were released that day of the fire, is that correct?
There were decomposition products released, and those would not affect that material either.
And what was it?
So do you have an educated guess on what fell from the sky on the day of the fire that ate her plastic chair?
Whatever ate her plastic chair did not come from our fire.
Oh, so it just appeared.
Do you want to see pictures?
Unbelievable.
You're lying.
Okay, so another question. I had showed you a photo of 2 Carus employees in the rain standing outside the west gate next to the sewers, spraying something in their bottles as the runoff from the plant is going into the sewer. No one seemed to know what that was or what that was even about. You guys had said that any of the chemicals that came down that day from the fire, once it rained and snowed, that it took care of it all. So what I'm trying to understand, and this is why I asked last time, why are there employees in the rain standing on the property next to the sewer system, spraying, treating the runoff? What did you find out about that?
It's a great question. If you look on page 5 in the FAQ, we kind of try to respond to that. And that's basically, they're wearing the Tyvek suits because it's dirty. The material that they were using to spray is the same spray material, the vinegar and the peroxide that we recommended. The reason, potassium permanganate, it be very, very low ppm levels, will give a little bit of pink, and that's what that was. So same thing we recommended to people's homes to spray, that's what we were using.
Are you referring to the March 6th spill they had when they were out spraying?
February 9th.
Okay.
That morning. Yeah.
No rain.
So that has nothing to do with the fire. So that
later.
doesn't answer it in this thing.
Yeah, where you guys had a chemical spill on the south side of the plant onto a residential street that I had taken pictures of and recorded footage because it was blocked off by a few workers' pickup trucks, and people in different levels of PPE were out there trying to spray all this purple stuff that had ended up on the road. I guess something with emptying out one of the ponds or something and the tanker hose got loose, something like that. Is that a common thing that happens at Carus, or?
And shouldn't that be reported to the EPA, anything that goes down the
It was
drain?
reported to the EPA, so you should all be aware of it.
That's groundwater that's going down into. It has to be reported.
Yeah, that material was a hose on one of our tanks where we were putting water in it, and the hose broke when one of the contractors was working on it, and some of that material got out on the ground. We used that same spray material that we recommended to homeowners to use to spray that down and clean that up.
Was that required from the EPA?
It was reported to the EPA like a few hours later.
Yeah.
But we had already put the video out like immediately on social media, so the video came out.
But they're supposed to call before them, right?
They're supposed to do it pretty quickly, yes.
As soon as it goes down the drain, you're required to call.
Well, I think after the video hit Facebook, I think they kind of felt like it had to.
That's after the fact, though. It's a violation.
Right. The other thing is, Mr. Gibbs, this is specifically for you. I had asked, and I know multiple people have asked about what the safety plan for the community was last time. Now I know it's been addressed now, but you sat there going through your book, through your notes, and straight to me and to everybody here said, no, we have a plan, I just have to look for it. And then later it comes out you had no plan. This is where a lot of the trust issues come from, is because we're being told things and then it comes out later that that's not true. And those are your guys' own words. I'm not basing it off of anything else. You said at the last meeting, Mr. Gibbs, that there was a plan, you just had to look for it. And it wasn't.
Good question. If you look on page 6, it talks about the emergency plan. And what I was responding to was the Carus emergency response plan.
No, I specifically said for the community because we
You're
were
right.
told eventually to shelter in place, and I said we weren't even told how to properly shelter in place.
Correct, and you know, and what I had in my head was the Carus plan, not what you were asking, so I made a mistake.
But do you understand that
Oh,
this
yeah,
is the
yeah.
stuff we're having
Yeah,
issues with?
sure, yeah, I understand. And I think part of it is that we want to do that, we want to engage with the community. That's why we're going to have this committee that Andy talked about. And we want to participate in that and be, you know, in a leadership role in that. We think that's important, not just for Carus products, but for, you know, for anything that happens in the
It'd be
community.
kind of bad for Carus if you guys wipe out the whole town. It would look kind of bad online, I'm sure. I'm just saying, you gotta stop with the loophole tells or the, oh, well, I heard it differently in my head, even though, yes, this is what you asked me. Because we're not gonna get anywhere, and there's never gonna be any trust if we have people from Carus saying things in an obscure way and then later trying to backpedal it. We're never gonna get anywhere, you guys or us. So I am asking respectfully to maybe consider your answers in the future to be as honest as you possibly can, because there's a good chance we're gonna find out if you're not telling the truth.
Yeah, I appreciate that comment. We feel that. I certainly feel that personally. And partly what we're trying to do is with the FAQ is to kind of put it in black and white. And if we made a mistake somewhere, we'll fix it. We'll keep adding to that list. We want to be as transparent as possible. We've learned a whole lot going and talking to neighbors. I learned a whole lot talking to you that day on the sidewalk, so we appreciate that feedback.
Can I approach them then, where I can show you my chair?
Sure, Lisa. Maybe while you're doing, no, come on up. Come on. Well, while you're doing that, I did also want to just reinforce Ellen's comment there, right? Our goal is to be completely transparent. Are we 100% perfect? No. But if we make a mistake, we will admit it and we'll own it, we'll fix it. But please, yeah, I mean, from my perspective, this team, this is a very, very transparent people. Very honest, very good, ethical people.
The problem I have too with my chair, it's a cheap $10 or $15 chair that I leave out in the winter. I cannot keep my good patio furniture out in the winter. Nobody cared about how that got from a chair with no hole to a chair with a hole in it, except the news channel. It was all over the nation. My sister-in-law in Arizona saw my name and my chair. And you guys say it doesn't do anything to plastic, okay? I have timestamps. This was January 11th at 10:28 a.m. Okay, you can see all the spotting. It almost looked black, green. There was moisture here on the chair, because of course a little bit of snow melted. It was in the sunlight, direct sunlight. I went in the house doing all kinds of things. I come back out at 11:53, and I look at my chair, and I'm like, my chair sure didn't have that damn hole in it an hour ago. So something with your chemicals, or something that fell in the sky, that everybody thinks is just these other chemicals, it was more. I mean, whatever burns, goes up in the air, all the stuff that burned at that warehouse, that stuff all can't be good to breathe in either. That's the stuff that we all feel fell on us, and nobody cared. It wasn't just a chemical to treat water. It eats through things you don't think it does.
And weren't you told to just spray it down with a hose?
Yeah, spray everything. My poor neighbor Donnie out there spraying off his car. Stuff all over his face, Jamie out there.
And that was a direct.
What if they had a plastic cap on, for God's sake?
Was that
a
directed from Carus to spray it down with a hose?
Yeah, or vinegar, or enough vinegar. Horrible.
Wash it off yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to go next,
Yeah.
please.
That's okay.
Good
I just
evening.
wanted to we have about 10 more minutes.
We need probably another hour. So Andy, could you tell me again the amounts of permanganate being shipped over to Ottawa? What was that pound amount?
A couple 100,000.
Yeah, there's a couple 100,000 pounds we store there.
How does that equate to pallets? How many pallets?
Yeah, I'm gonna,
You have it.
I have to do the math.
Depends if it's super sacks, it depends.
I was
what-
gonna say, are they in sacks? Are they in the 5-gallon buckets?
Yes, educated,
Yeah,
yes.
everything we've got over there is either gonna be in drums or pails right now.
How many pallets do you think at any given time is being stored in Ottawa?
Let me do some calculations. I don't know off the top of my head.
How many semis frequent the Southtown Mall, which consequently used to be was it a Kmart?
Yep.
Kmart building? How many semis go there on a daily basis?
Yeah, well, the key is the products that we store at the warehouse in Ottawa are not just potassium permanganate, but they're, primarily
So
all.
what else would it be?
Well,
It's all from here.
Yeah, they could be the phosphates, they could be the catalyst, it could be the sodium. I mean, there's different products there.
Okay.
What about the
The
bags
potassium
that said
permanganate is
US
only part of
zinc
it.
on them?
I'm sorry, what was that?
The bags that had zinc on them that were coming out of one of your trucks at the Ottawa lot?
Yeah, zinc is one of our products that we use for our catalyst facility.
Okay, so this location, as you know, and I don't know if everyone knows this, but it is located in an old Kmart building, which is adjacent also to a state office. Many employees work for the state there. There are senior housing developments, residential areas, schools, and sports complexes right there. So I guess my question would be, where's the safety plan, the emergency plan? How do we get that to all of these people?
Yeah, so again, that facility, we store our product. We work with another company who work with the city on all the permits.
Is there again no emergency plan in place?
Yeah, we have an emergency plan for our products there, absolutely.
So why
Where
is
do we
it
get
not
that?
shared with the others? They have to have a way to get out of this building.
It should be posted in their offices, in the schools, etc. They should know what to do.
Everybody has to be
It's not.
trained
Yeah, I mean, when you look at what we did, I mean, we work with a company that owns that building, that leases that building.
So this could happen again. What happened in LaSalle could happen again. No one knows what to do at this moment in time.
Yeah, we've worked very hard to make sure that this never happens again.
How?
You guys sure do a lot of mistakes. A lot of human error.
Well, the things we've done are procedures.
What are those things?
our
Where do we
training.
find them? How can the general public get their hands on it? Does anyone here know what to do?
Nope.
Nope.
No doubt.
I have no further questions.
After
Yeah.
the fire, we still.
Run to the gas station. Nice job.
My question is kind of like the same one as had been getting, and I do appreciate you guys talking about our homes and everything else like that. The blanket releases that the Davies Group requires for signature is a full release. Now, for those of us who may have time lost, wages lost, things like that, as we're dealing with contractors, we can't go back. So it's like if we get the financial compensation that we need to redo our siding, and then it ends up taking 2 extra weeks, additional time, additional labor, things that we don't anticipate, you've already asked for a blanket release in advance. And that really doesn't protect us. And they have not been, more recently, they've been much more easier to work with than in the past, and I'll give you that. But that's my bigger concern is, I want to make sure that if my husband and I have to miss work to deal with all these contractors that have cost us basically our home, that there is compensation later, because the full blanket release is too inclusive. So can you fix that? Because I feel like I can't see anyone signing that who needs siding and some of the other extensive damage if we don't know if we're getting compensated for missing work for 2 or 3 weeks to deal with that.
I'm glad you're having a better experience, hopefully. I do believe I read on the report that the release was issued. Just to be clear, we didn't draft the release. I'm not saying Carus isn't part of this, but we did not draft the release. It was drafted by the attorneys of one of the insurance carriers and approved by them. That is not our release, it's not our wording, it's not even our suggestion. I understand what you're saying. And I mean, it's kind of we have a chicken egg thing here, right? You'd like to get your money, to get your contractors, to get your house built, refixed, right? And so I would say that, do me a favor, talk to me. I'll give you my card afterward. Talk to me and we'll figure out how to take care of that for you, because I want to make sure you guys are good.
All right. Well, thank you. And then, like I said, I do appreciate them stopping by our house, removing the truck route and some of those other things. So thank you.
Take one more question.
Good evening. My name is Nick Mazzarelli. I'm a resident of LaSalle, and I want to start off by saying that I think Carus has finally, slowly but surely, been showing responsibility for the fire that occurred in January. I think the steps Carus has recently taken, including shutting down the Apollo warehouse, fully reimbursing the LaSalle Fire Department for their damaged equipment, paying insurance deductibles, and creating an emergency response plan, have all been steps in the right direction. However, I also want to point out that it is without a doubt that most of this progress would not have occurred without the citizens of the community voicing their concerns and holding Carus accountable. So I want to thank all of those who have made their voices heard, because they are the ones who have played an important role in keeping our community safe. Furthermore, even though progress has been made, there is still a long way to go. For example, the city of Oglesby and other cities, as far as I'm aware, have still not been fully reimbursed for the damaged equipment. Also, there are many residents of LaSalle who are struggling with the Davies groups to cover all the damage caused by the fire, such as damaged roofs, air conditioning units, pools, and other property. So my first question is, what specific steps is Carus taking to fully cover the damage caused by the fire? And my second question is in regards to the Emergency Response Plan Committee. As a concerned resident of LaSalle, I would like to ask to go ahead and be a part of that committee in order to help create and develop the response plan. Thank you.
I'll just comment on the fire departments. As of yesterday, all the fire departments have either been paid or approved. 2 of the last claims we got were City of Peru. We got that 9 days ago. We got the claim information 9 days ago. They were approved for payment yesterday, so they will be getting their checks. City of Oglesby was the last one on that list. Before that, their check was cut June 20, whatever the Friday was, June 28th, before the 4th of July. So as of right now, all the fire departments and all of their equipment. But I do want to point out, we just got the claim 9 days ago. It wasn't for lack of reaching out to the fire departments to get those paid. I believe, was that the only insurance question? I'm sorry. Okay.
You did ask a question about the community emergency response plan. I think you volunteered, so thank you for that, and really thank you for sharing your opening comments as well. Very balanced comments. Do appreciate it. On the community emergency response plan, we're kind of working through how many people we need to have on that. We've had a number of folks actually volunteer and throw their hat in the ring. And we need to sift through and figure out how, what the makeup of that group looks like. We do want it to be, as I said earlier, a plan that's owned by the community. So clearly we want community members. So I do appreciate you for volunteering. And please reach out to our hotline and leave your details, and we'll be in touch.
Great. Well, it's 7 o'clock and we were going to go for an hour. So if anybody else has any additional questions, we would ask you to please reach out to our hotline and we will get back to you as soon as we can.
No. See, the problem is you guys disappeared. You left a Post-it note on my door of my building and then just play phone tag and don't get back to me. I'm tired of your games. It's a circus. Look over here and nothing. You're not.
Hello, April. How are you?
Hi. And like, you didn't even take my number the last time I spoke. And you're like, yeah, I'll call you. And well, you found it eventually.
We actually stopped by your house and we left a note for you to contact Davies. And I know that Lisa Conan reached out to you and had a conversation with you, tried to make an offer on a claim. I believe your response, at least from what I understood, was not exactly collaborative, and we'll just leave it at that. And
you can say that.
You can help. I don't want to get into the details. My point being, we stopped by, we left our information because I didn't have your phone number, you're correct. I wrote you a letter, but then Lindsay stopped by the next day and I said, okay, I won't mail this letter. I had Lisa contact you, and it didn't go anywhere.
You guys are just doing this.
No, Lisa.
It looks like you're doing something.
April, there is a process. April,
you're not.
There
and
is
you're
a
making
process.
me offers that are ridiculous. $2,000 for cars, bikes, and my health. I missed out on 6 months of work because I could not breathe. This is like the last couple of weeks. That smoke actually helped me breathe because I could cough. It created a cough to get that crap out of my lungs. This is the first that I can breathe in 6 months.
April, I think that we asked you more than one time, please submit the information, the bills you have.
It's 3 years of medical. Since I've moved here, I've had problems from your factory. My car is destroyed. It's destroyed. No, you're just doing a circus.
I'm not doing a circus.
I'm done with the circus.
I could have Lisa reach out to you again. I don't know what it is you want us
It's
to
like
do.
you guys call my phone, but it sends it, I don't know how you do it. It sends it straight to the voicemail. And then guess what? I gotta keep trying to call you and leaving voicemails. Okay. And then I'm getting worked up, and they're probably pretty fun.
I understand. And then I did try to call you once I had your number, and your phone was disconnected temporarily.
Do you need my number?
Let's just throw that out.
April, I was actually, Lindsay and I were the ones that actually stopped by your house. We tried calling your cell, we couldn't get through. So Lindsay and I jumped in the car one afternoon, stopped by. Unfortunately, we weren't there. We left a little note on the door, and obviously,
and then
here we are having this conversation. I'm just going to open it up and say, you're welcome to come visit me anytime in the office. If you want me to come visit you at your house, we're happy to do that. Happy to have a conversation.
Well, as long as there's future action, like, it's just a circus now. You guys are just putting on a show, telling all these deceiving. You're just deceiving people to try and look good, and then you buy the community. Everything's connected, too.
Honestly, we're trying to do the right thing.
I hope so.
We've got to live in this community just like the rest of everybody. There's nothing more important than the safety and health and wellness of our employees, the community.
Why is that more important now and it wasn't before?
It's always been very important. It's always
and
been.
I haven't even, I've been sick and I have not even started pushing until I am going to start talking on all the social media unless we start doing something. I haven't even been pushing yet.
Well, thank you.
Your actions are showing that you don't care.
I guess, again, we're happy to have the conversation. One question. Sure.
You keep saying tonight about how safe your product is and stuff. I mean, years ago, it was widely known that it's very hazardous and also was used to make explosives. So when along the way, what did you do to the product that made it safe all of a sudden?
First, I'll say that the product is dangerous when used incorrectly. Can you make something that's an explosive? Sure. But I can make an explosive out of bleach in your house too. So when used correctly, the product is safe, and when used in the applications that it's approved for, the product is safe. Now, was it used in the 40s to make an explosive? Yes. It was. I mean, that's history. Can you combine it with glycerin to make a fire starter? Yes, the U.S. Forestry Service does that. because it is so reactive, and that's the end result. We handle that product safely in our plant. We package it and we ship it safely.
But it's also used for like treating acne and other things.
That is not an approved use of that product in the U.S. In other areas of the world, yes, they do that. In the U.S., we do not do that.
But the side effects of it are burns, death.
Again, that's why we don't do that in the U.S. When it's used appropriately in the U.S., it is a perfectly safe product.
When it was in our yards, you're telling us it's safe. 1 million pounds of it.
There was not 1 million pounds deposited on your yard.
Right.
In the fire, the permanganate was decomposed. Was there some that got off the plant site? Of course there was. It was carried up in the updrafts of the fire because the fire burned very, very hotly.
But it wasn't just the manganese and the potassium that was in the fire. That's the problem. So the white spots that the insurance companies are claiming isn't the damage from the fire. It just appeared on all of our houses and everything. But it's only on certain products, just like the black's only on certain products and the brown's only on certain products. But the white is some of the chemicals and metals that we found in our yards and our furnace filters that you guys are claiming that wasn't in it.
What white?
What the white spots that the insurance? I mean, they got.
I haven't seen. Honestly, I haven't seen any pictures about white. So I don't know how to answer that because I don't have any background.
It's white on the air conditioner blades.
And my fence.
I'll be happy to talk to you about it. I don't have any background, so I can't.
Okay.
I just can't. I apologize for that.
I'll let you talk.
Thank you. Okay, I think we're going to wrap it up there.
This will be just real quick. My name is Crystal Lochran. If you look at the economy, the state of Illinois gross state product is $782 billion, with a population of over 13 million people here in Illinois. Manufacturing produces $101 billion. Chemical manufacturing in the state of Illinois is $16.6 billion. And these folks here are just looking for some help. I find it just awful. Another thing too, I'd like to know, has Carus reached out to Governor Pritzker? And if so, what has he said? And secondly, I would like to ask the group if they've heard from their state representative, Lance Yodback. Thank you.
Nope. Not a word. Passing notes like we're in high school.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understood the question correctly. Did you say, has Carus reached out to Governor Pritzker? No, no.
And especially because if you look at the amount of money they spend here in Illinois on chemicals is $16.1 billion. And so these folks here are just asking for some help. And it seems like some of the offers that they're getting back just aren't sufficient. A couple $1,000, their lives have been disrupted.
Yeah, and again, you know, if sure, we're happy to do whatever we can. Never thought about calling the governor. That's something
That's her friend.
think about.
I'm pretty sure Inga's traveled with him, so she might have his personal number.
Actually, I think somebody at the last town hall asked. It might even have been you. You know, does Inga have a relationship with Governor Pritzker? And I was like, I have no idea. I think that was my answer at the last town hall. When I actually get back to the office, I asked her if she has a relationship with Governor Pritzker, and she basically said, I've met him. That's about it. So we really don't have a relationship with the governor.
All right, well, we'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. And again, we'd like to remind you that if you have questions, you have concerns, please call us on the hotline. You'll get a member of our leadership team who will reach out to you and work with you on whatever your question or concern might be. Thank you.